So we're like 1985, right before you were born, I think. And in 1985, I'm an immigrant. I came here with $1,000 and a green card, right? Listen to this. I wanted to buy a house. So I was in Oceanside at that time. And I went to Pozole. It's a neighborhood in Oceanside. It's actually quite a dangerous neighborhood in Oceanside. It was back then. It's changed now, right? And I found a house. All I could afford was $50,000. And I found a VA repo for $52,000. It was 15.5% interest rate. And because it was a VA repo, I had to put a certain amount of money down, went FHA. And I'm going to tell you something, Tony. It was an older guy, probably my age, right, who helped put the deal together, never explained a single thing. He would just show up at my house once a week asking for more money. And I didn't know what I was doing, so I just gave him more money. And in the end, I bought the house, never saw him again after it closed, but I bought that house for $52,000 in Oceanside. And that I'll never forget that my entire career. That's how people feel. They don't know what's going on. And we just say, oh, yeah, you know, it's your closing costs. This is your estimated closing. This is your settlement statement. This is your CD. This is your CTC. They don't have a clue what's going on. But that piece to help those people, whomever they are, wherever they're from, I don't care. All I care is they're human beings who deserve to buy a house. That lights my fire. And in this market, when you come off the peak, it creates opportunity for people. Sellers will, you know this. Sellers will pay closing costs. Look at the pricing on loans right now. Try and get money back out of a VA loan 2 years ago to pay for points. You couldn't do it.
No, but you can now.
You can now. So tell me about that, how the market's changed now.
So that leads to, like, right now I did a deal on going back to that same FHA deal, because that was the start of this transition. I went in, list price was $500,000. They had offers to $520, property in Mobile. I told the agent, get off the transaction. I'm going to negotiate with the listing agent myself.
There you go.
So I called the listing agent. I said, I'm going to give you $540, but I want 20 back. Mm-hmm. So now your sellers, I think it said $541 and I want 20 back. So your seller nets out an extra $1,000.
Right.
And now I got 20 back that paid for points because they're at 580 FICO. So there's no way I'm going to be able to get lender credit.
Right.
So that paid for their points, get their interest rate down to
so lower FICO, you can't get lender credit.
On lower FICO, it's going to be damn
interesting.
Hard. The mortgage coupon isn't going to support it.
So you have to have the points.
The better FICOs to get points on VA, FHA. Mm-hmm. Right. On conventional, you're not even touching that.
Okay. So
we get the 20 G's back. That covers points, 2-point buy down, and it also covers closing costs. Mm-hmm. So they're at 5.25 with a 580 FICO.
Yeah.
But then in 6 months, you got to do a VA streamline. But either way, like, okay, I got 20 G's back right now. How, if their rate went up, right, at 5.25 from 3.25, say that's a jump of $500, you're talking how many months before they make up their money back on the 20 grand?
Yeah.
Rates are going to drop in 18 months. Have you seen that? I'll send you the Freddie Mac chart. Remind me to send it to your staff, where it shows every election year on the money in March, rates start to come down because they have to re-stimulate the economy. Yeah. They can't go into October and November with a fucked up economy. They need to drop rates. They're going to start buying mortgage bonds. And so they're going to drop the rates, cash out refi, or you're just going to do a VRL or a FHA streamline, drop the rate.
There is no way you can win an election as an incumbent president when gas is $7.
No, but that's why they had to do it now.
And interest rates are 7%. It's just not going to happen.
That's why they had to do it now.
Totally.
Right? They hadn't have enough time.
And we had to cool it off. You know, I don't like the feeling of representing somebody. Remember, so my job isn't, first of all, to make commission. This is where a lot of realtors miss it. My job is not, first of all, to make commission. My job, first of all, is to use my knowledge to serve the public, to help them create their American dream. Because I do that well, I make money.
Yeah.
The minute you lose sight of that, you've missed the point, right? So in this particular situation you're talking about, when you meet somebody new in that situation, it's, look, my job is to get you over the line. And that's exactly what you did. You said, realtor, get out of the way. Let me talk to the listing agent. Let me negotiate this, because a lot of real estate agents don't know how to negotiate, haven't had to negotiate this.
Yeah.
And you stepped into that gap. And I believe that across the board, everybody who works for us, everybody who comes in that room, and you see our room, it can be quite aggressive in terms of making calls and outbounds. We're there to solve problems, right? Everybody in that room understands the day you show up here and money is more important than people, Andrew's going to ask you to leave.
Yeah. If you help enough people, the money will come. Right.
There's
John
no
Maxwell.
doubt. But here's the deal, mate. There's a lot of sayings on Facebook. There's a lot of little things that you read on Facebook. They mean nothing, right? A person is not who they say they are. A person is how they act. I'll tell you a really crazy thing about this. I went to a seminar a while ago, and I'm not a big seminar guy. This was a few years ago. I'm not a big seminar guy. I go to this seminar, and they ask us, it's in groups and all that stuff that you do. And they say, who do you think you are? And not like, who do you think you are, but who do you think you are, right? And so you go through and try and describe who you are, and I write down, and I take it home to my wife, and I write down, this is who I think I am. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. I'm kind, I'm compassionate, and all that. She looked at me and she said, Andrew, I love you, but you're none of those things. And I sat down and I went, wait a minute, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Because this is who I think I am. And I went back to the seminar the next day and I said, what's the deal here? And they looked at me and they said, Andrew, it's not who you think you are. It's who you are into the world. What you are into the world defines who you are. And it's ultimately who people see you as, not who you see yourself as. That's the distinction. So when you say, you see it a lot in the real estate industry, it's people first, I love customers, and people will do anything for a commission. They're out there drinking wine in the middle of the day in the wine country because they got a client they just made 10 grand on. Don't tell me that's caring about people. That's caring about protecting your lifestyle. Protecting your lifestyle is being there at 8 o'clock at night talking to people on the phone because they just put in an 11-hour shift. They got home, they're exhausted. They feel they're not worthy. We tell them, yes, you are worthy. And we actually do the work. So the bottom line of this is we're not who we think we are. It's who people see us as through our actions. So what you're doing, I believe, in creating the knowledge and wisdom you have, because you've got the company behind you to do it as well, and to make these things happen for the other people would walk by, that's it. That defines who you are.
Well, I absolutely love that. And we've been on for like 10 minutes. Tell us who you are.
So I'm Andy Warburton. Andrew, some people say. And what do you want to know? A real estate broker. Own a couple of corporations.
Give me your story.
You know my story?
85, you get here with $1,000.
Came here right around 77, 81.
Okay.
And I'll tell you.
Hold on, let me stop you. Why'd you come over?
So I came over because I met a model from Newport Beach. There's the truth.
Let's go.
I was in my last year of university at Leeds. I was a total geek.
Okay.
And not good looking like you, but I get by. So I was a total geek, loved math and marketing and all that kind of stuff, right? Came out of college, British Airways hired me. I was 21, living in a 5-star hotel in Paris, working on a Concord marketing campaign.
Fucking A.
That's how I started my career. And then from there, I went to Xerox Corporation, and I just caught the sales bug. Went into Xerox Corporation to tell you a funny story. There's 2 parts of Xerox back then. One is a super posh part. Another part is the hardworking, like we had last night, grinding out the phone calls. Yep. The super posh part is you're going into bankers and all these posh English offices and taking care of them. And the other part is
door knocking,
pounding the streets, right? Yep. So I go into the posh part, right? Because I came from a posh school and all that stuff. Not because I had money. I got scholarships because I was a geek. Anyway, bottom line, they had this machine that sat on a desk called a 660. You fed a piece of paper in the top. It sucked it into the machine, spat it out the bottom, and you had a photocopy. It was called a 660. And you would go into offices and the secretaries hated them because it ate. It was like a Pac-Man. It ate. So 3 copies. It would copy the 4th one. It would eat. Right? My job was to go into these offices all over London and get the companies that hated these machines to buy them. It was called a rental to sale conversion. So I went out there the first 2 months, I sold 12 of them. They couldn't believe it. Nobody had done it before. So I sold 12 of these machines. And there was a guy over in another part, I can't say his name, another part of the country, who was the head guy for new home sales in England. And I said to my guy, David, his name was, I said, David, this is great. I'll do whatever Xerox wants me to do. I just will not work for that guy. Because I thought he was just completely crazy. I came from a family of pastors. I didn't know about this stuff. Here's the story. I walk in 6 months later and he says, Andrew, I got good news for you. I got bad news for you. I said, all right, lay the good news on me first. He says, look out that window out there. And there was a red sports car in the parking lot. He said, Xerox just bought that for you. True story.
Let's go.
And I said, okay, what's the bad news? He says, you're reporting tomorrow morning at 10.
Oof.
And I will tell you, it was the best thing that happened to me my whole life. I walked into the office. It was maybe 20 yards long. I don't know. It was long office. I mean, I'm not good at distances. He was down the far end, old school, like boiler room type of thing. Old school, huge man, 300 and some odd pounds, right? He'd been in car wrecks. His sweat glands were like, you just dripped sweat all day long. And I walk in the office, and I can't say it on this blog, but my head appears above the door, this little English schoolboy, right? And he says, "Is that you, Warburton?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me." He says, "Get up in my office." This is Xerox Corporation. And I walked down this, like, last mile of my life, sit down. He was one of these guys who put his chair up high and yours down low. So there's this 300-pound guy sitting there looking down at me like this. And he leans across the table. He looks at me in the eyes. I can't say the word on this blog. And he says,
"No, you're good. Say it."
He says, "I hear you think I'm an effing animal." Just like that. And in a second, your whole life like flashes in front of you and your career is gone, right? And I looked at him with this like schoolboy grin and I said, "What could possibly make you think that?" So that was the start. Anyway, bottom line, I went and sold a bunch of Xerox. Then I met this girl from Newport. She was a model, like clothes, magazines and all that kind of stuff. And we got married in Newport Beach Presbyterian. And we went. And that was the beginning. And I will tell you, the first day I landed at LAX, it was Mayor Bradley Terminal. It was one of these semi-temporary tents.
Okay.
Yeah. And I walk out of Mayor Bradley Terminal. You know how you're under all those overpasses and everything, the parking, there's cars everywhere and all that. And this was, you got to think back to the 80s. So these big cars. And I literally, out of my mouth, when I walked on the sidewalk, I said, "Andrew, you're never going back."
That's
I'll
insane.
be honest with you. I saw the ladies. And I saw the cars. And I went, "This is paradise."
This is
and
a
I never
world.
want to go. I went back to see mom and dad, of course, and took care of my mom and dad. But that was it. I knew that was it for me. And so my sales career began there. That's what happened.
So were you still in, did you go back to Xerox?
I tried to move with Xerox and they didn't do it. Because Xerox then in England was owned by the Rank Movie Corporation. And it was called Rank Xerox. So you couldn't get an in-company transfer. So I came, Xerox wrote me a great letter of recommendation. I came here and I'd saved up a little bit of money, a few $1,000. That was it. And bottom line, I had money, I think, for whatever, 2-3 weeks. I had a wife at that time and a baby. And I saw an ad in the LA Times for a company called Lanier Corporation. And Lanier, now I'm going to give you a throwback. Lanier made word processors. If you had a word processor, you were somebody, right? And it was a big screen like this. And instead of just typing, it would all come up on a screen. Of course, we think it's ridiculous now. Now I'm like this tech geek, right? And my job, well, first of all, there were 100 people in line for the job because the economy wasn't that great. There were 100 people in line for the job on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. And I stood, this little English boy, now sold a few Xerox machines, right? Stood in line, got the job. They shipped me to Santa Ana and they gave me a territory, Santa Ana. And my job was to knock on the doors in Santa Ana and sell attorneys on these word processors. That was my job. And I spent the entire day, every day, knocking on doors. You were not allowed to leave the office till you made 50 cold calls. That's where I learned about a smile will take you 100 miles. Because I would sit in this booth and I'd be like really intense, "Hello, this is Andrew from Lanier Corporation," all this stuff. They're like, chill. I didn't even know what chill meant. And they sat there and they said, "We're going to buy you a mirror." They put a mirror in the booth and they taught me when I made calls to smile because the intonation of your voice changes when you smile. You know all this stuff, right? So I would sit there and I would make these calls. And when you made 50 calls, you were allowed to go out in the marketplace and sell. And I did. And so I sold a whole bunch the first month, a whole bunch the second month, a whole bunch the third month. I was a young guy, a little more ruthless than I am now, maybe, right? Not so adjusted, And what I wanted was Newport Beach. That's what I wanted. I wanted Newport Beach. And there was a guy who was the salesman for Newport Beach. Nice guy, super nice guy, not super aggressive. He was 10 years older than me. So he got the house, the wife, the baby, and he was doing good.
He's chilling.
He was chilling a little bit, right? And I went into the sales manager and said, "I want Newport Beach." He says, "Somebody else has got Newport Beach." I said, "Well, you got a choice. You got 60 days. I'm going to go out and sell. You got a choice. You keep me in 60 days and give me Newport Beach or I'm out of here." He says, "All right, you've got a choice." He says, "You sell this many in 60 days and I'll give you Newport Beach. If not, you're out of here."
Let's go.
I leaned across the table, shook his hand. 60 days later, I had Newport Beach.
That's awesome.
So you've got to understand, this is not how I grew up. I had like 6 generations of pastors and, all of that super conservative stuff, right? But I loved the idea. To me, here's sales. It was never about, okay, I sold that, I made X amount of money. I have never, ever thought that way. I never saw people as a vehicle for money. But what I do believe is this. I believe that most human beings struggle with making decisions. Most human beings struggle with progressing themselves. That's why you go to a store like Barnes & Noble and there's 9 racks of self-improvement books. If they all worked, then why do we need 9 racks of them? We actually need 4. Let's get 1,000 copies of each and we'll all change our lives. And the answer is that people read it. It doesn't work for them because they don't work it for them. So they only need another perspective. They need another book. That's my whole philosophy. So people have a hard time making decisions. They say knowledge is power. It's not. Action is power. Knowledge isn't power. Action is power. We all know we shouldn't eat this, that, whatever all day long, but we all eat that all day long, so we all get overweight. So the knowledge isn't the power. The action is throwing it in the trash, right? I went to the gym at 5 o'clock this morning. I'm 65 years old. I know the gym is there. That knowing it was there didn't help me at all. I know that if I go to that trainer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So the whole point is people need help to make decisions. People don't make decisions on their own, and they'll make decisions to a certain point, and then it's a risk-reward ratio. In their minds, they're not in control anymore if they make a decision to do X rather than Y. And so they'll protect the Y position rather than go to the X opportunity. So most people live their lives protecting the Y safety rather than creating the X opportunity. So I saw myself in sales as a person who could help people refine what was the challenge in their life, how much did they want to change that challenge, and what was the reward if they did. And my job was to get them to sign that piece of paper that started their journey.
That's incredible. Sales is an incredible career, but man, it takes something, and it takes a unique individual to be able to thrive in the sales career.
Yes, it does.
And that's why Pareto principle fits us so well, right? The 95-5. But we continue to thrive. We continue to push, and it forces us to continue to evolve as we go through the process.
I agree.
It's fascinating. I love this. There's nothing better. I would challenge that people get complacent. People get complacent, and that's where they protect their why. Because it doesn't matter anymore. They're fat, they're happy, they have kids, they have a wife, they have food on the table, their mortgage payments covered, and they have their car covered.
So a gym image for that. Can I interject real quick? In the gym, they put out those like plastic box things. I'm not like a super athlete, so I don't know what they're called. But it's like this box thing.
Yeah, you got to jump on it.
And you got to jump on it.
Yep.
Yeah, most people, their box is 7 inches high.
Yeah, 100%. But that's where they get comfortable.
Exactly.
And that little rocket in your head that's always exploding that you're always trying to feed, they never get to experience that. They never get to experience the highs, the lows, the dopamine rush, the crash.
100%. 100% agree
And so
with you.
then they live in the routine.
Yes.
Whenever I go down to LA and I'm stuck and I'm driving on the fast track because I can't afford the time to be stuck in traffic, I can't believe that people do this every day. But that's become a part of their daily schedule. They listen to a book while they're driving down to the job that they're going to trade their time for money. But they know that on Friday they're going to get $1,000 deposited into their bank account.
So it's a guarantee.
Whereas that sounds torturous.
Totally get it. Yeah, I can't conceive that.
But that's a different mindset. And not all of us can go after the X, or otherwise we wouldn't be unique. There wouldn't be a unique individual like that.
So the trainer I have right now is an animal.
Yeah.
Just one of these people you walk in, he's just huge. And this is like, the one over here, I probably shouldn't do a plug for it, but it's a well-known gym. You can't belong to it. You got to pay a trainer to go there.
Self-made.
Right.
Yep.
You walk in the gym, you see one guy. It's Derek. And Derek knows me well. I'm stubborn. I'm self-willed, all that stuff that makes us good salespeople, right?
Yep.
And he'll tell me to do something. I'm like, Derek, that is a physiological impossibility. And so he just yells and screams at me until I do it. And I fall down and he catches me when I fall down. That's how we train. Did it this morning. He hung these like rings, like those Olympic ring things.
Yep.
And he had to grab the 2 rings, stand back, lift up one leg while you're leaning back,
yep,
and sit your butt down to the floor like a one-legged squat.
Yep, pistol.
Okay, I'd never seen anything like it in my life. And so he just drives and drives up. But here's my point. What his skill set is, let's go back to that 7-inch, what do you call those boxes you stand on? When you jump, right?
Yeah.
Jump. Yeah. But most of them are like 2 feet. You start at 2 feet, then you go to 3 feet, then you go to 4 feet. Obviously, if you bring Andrew in the gym and put a 6-foot box there, I'm just going to go, yeah, right, yeah. Right? But he knows I can jump maybe, well, first of all, I'm white, and second, I'm 65. So maybe I can jump, 18 inches, right? So he'll do 24. That's the skill of sales management.
Yes.
So as a salesman, you and I can set ourselves impossible targets, but it doesn't daunt us because we're driven by that, right? But in an area that you're not so strong in, the key is to give people, if they can do 12, always give them 14 as the goal, or 15 or 16. If they can do 12, you give them 30 as a goal, most people are going to go, no.
Yeah.
So how do you move people from Y to X? It's in stages. It's in stages that their cerebral process can be challenged enough that they'll go to Y plus 1. They don't go from Y to X, they go to Y plus 1.
But there's so much that has to go into them to even start considering Y.
I agree.
You have to break them out of X and have them take the journey to get to the starting line, to get up and go to the gym and walk through the 2 front doors.
Particularly at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I'll see you there at 4:30.
See?
I'll see you
there he just raised the box. You see that?
Yeah. And go at 4:30. I'll see you there at 4:05.
There you go.
There you go.
There's... But that's an unusual mentality. And so, look, we're both building corporations for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We both have a national strategy. The idea of being the local realtor is an important idea, but it's one that I've walked past quite a few years ago. So now the challenge is, how do I do this on a national level? How do I scale this on a national level?
It's never been easier to go national. It's never been easier. I have my guys all getting licensed in multi-states on the lending side.
There you go.
Because it's never been easier to solicit business everywhere. With the power of Zoom, right? We all learned that we didn't have to be in an office. I still believe that the best work is done inside an office.
Yeah, I do too.
But now it gives you the ability to meet with people in Georgia, in Tennessee.
Exactly.
I take meetings all over the country now because we have the power of the internet.
Right.
Right. We have the power of the video. We have the power of the camera. This can go out to people in England.
Right.
In Australia.
Right.
So there's no limitations anymore. The local realtor was a vision when maybe you had to hand them a contract. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yep.
You can go through an entire transaction now through automation. You and I had a great conversation at lunch, which we could have expanded on for hours, on the power of bots and automation.
Yep.
You can have an entire contract signed and never talk to the customer. And for all they knew, you were talking to them the whole time.
So let's talk about the future for a second with real estate. Now we use TCs. Because the buyer doesn't really know what they're doing. The agent doesn't really want to do it because they want to be at the wine country drinking wine, spending the commission they're getting.
Yep.
And so the parties are just, so you bring in a TC, right? So you got a TC transaction coordinator and they're handling all of that. By the way, the buyer doesn't really know what paperwork's been done or not. I know there's bots that lenders send out that sort of send a little update, you're on stage 4 and so on. But the bottom line is most consumers don't have a clue where they're at. Let's back up even further to offer stage. So whether it was the REO days 10 years ago, and there's 50 offers on an REO and you would submit it to the listing agent, you never hear from the listing agent again. You just hope and pray. You better pray a lot.
Yep.
You better have 10 rosaries because you don't even know if you're going to get a call back. Then you bring it up to 2022 and you would submit offers and there's 5 other cash offers and 4 other this. And, again, you don't know. And remember this, not only don't you know as the real estate agent, not only don't you know as the real estate broker, but also the consumer. That's who matters in this transaction. This isn't about you and me.
Yeah.
The consumer doesn't know where they're at. The next stage that is part of our vision with GoWP Now, our next stage is not only creating the initial conversation with the consumer in a non-threatening way through artificial intelligence, intuitive artificial intelligence. The next stage is that my vision is for that consumer to see every step of the process. So when imagine now their offer is submitted on a platform. There are certain details that are exposed and certain details that are not. Maybe the buyer doesn't want their name and telephone number being exposed to the seller. Fine, right? That's coded out. But Their offer goes on the platform. The seller also has access to that platform. So now all those games that have been litigated in superior courts all over the nation, where agents hold back offers because maybe they've got another offer they're bringing in that they're going to double end, or they've got another offer coming in from somebody in their brokerage, so the brokerage makes some extra money. All that gets eliminated because the second, in real time, that buyer makes an offer, that seller sees that offer and they get a push notification on their cell phone. Honey, we're at dinner. Somebody just put an offer in. Oh, that's funny. Our realtor hasn't called yet. Oh, yeah, because they're part-time. But the consumer now, the seller, whose money we have a fiduciary responsibility for, now immediately sees that. Now extrapolate that not only does the buyer and seller see that platform, not only does the buyer and seller know the buyer that their offer is being fairly presented, they have an equal opportunity, but the seller also has the opportunity to sell for the most dollars. Now the deal is made and there's a visibility and all of that. And it goes into escrow and a menu comes up of 21 stages. On those 21 stages, at any time of day or night, that seller can go in and get a push notification which stage is fulfilled and which stage is not. Contingencies for inspection, contingencies for finance, loan approval, all of the stuff that you and I do every day. Each stage is set right there, buyer and seller, 100% transparency. 5 years from now, I think the likelihood of a transaction coordinator being in our business is probably less than 10%. Less than 10% of transactions will have it because technology is coming on so fast.
It's so fast.
You've got that total visibility. Back to our discussion about national. You can take a company like that national because you don't need to find 500 TCs.
Yep.
You can actually put that platform in place and it can manage deals all over the country. So part of our vision at GoWP now is to expand this out, not only in terms of now we can sell homes nationally, but also that we can process those sales and communicate with buyers and sellers in a way that frankly has never been done before in this industry.
That's a unique competitive advantage. You're transforming this, you're building the technology. All these big corporations were just built within the last few years.
Right.
EXP, Rocket Mortgage, United Wholesale Mortgage. All these companies, they just came about.
Yep.
They just came about. Why are you with Keller Williams?
So it's a great question. For us right now, our primary focus is building out this model that we're talking about. And Keller Williams for us provides a landing pad, if you like, an operational platform where there are some real value adds that work for us. The compliance aspect of deals that we do, facility. And imagine now that we say, okay, we're ready to expand out into 5 different geographical locations. So normally a businessman like myself would then hire a leasing agent expert in all those areas, and you find it, and you sign up for 5 leases and all that sort of stuff. We don't have to do that within the structure. Within the structure, tomorrow, I can drive out to Palm Springs, I can go up to LA,
Yep.
meet the team leader there, set up, pay whatever money they need, take it, right?
Makes it easy.
They call it their cap, right? And away you go. So having that structural base that we can expand out within that structure is very valuable to us. And the compliance issues, I don't have to have a compliance manager on staff because compliance is being dealt with. So for this point in our evolution, and it depends now how Keller Williams evolves, how that develops together, but our corporations are growing along side by side. Of course, they're a massive corporation. We're an evolving corporation. So it provides a platform. I see it rather like a helicopter landing pad on top of a building in Los Angeles, right? While you're there, you could fly anywhere because right now that provides a landing pad. And with all of its perfections and imperfections, it provides a landing pad for which we're very grateful.
I love it. Your concept on your website is a great equalizer against all these corporations. Right? A little bit of luck and a ton of effort.
Yes.
It gives you the ability to compete with everybody and unlimited ability to scale. 1.6 million agents nationwide. Is that accurate?
That's about right.
Your website gives you the ability to access all of them.
So now let's talk about agents because this is an interesting discussion. So the old model, And when I say old model, so there's corporations that, real estate corporations that are built around the model that really came out of the late 19th, early 20th century, which is we're a broker, we're going to pay the overhead, we're going to pay for the buildings, we're going to pay for some of your marketing and so on and so forth, right? And you're going to come to us and we're going to take a percentage of your commission. And what happened is, even when I started in the industry, is you had title insurance companies that could participate in that. They could pay for some of the marketing costs. They would, agents would have what they called farms. It's an old word, right? All of this stuff. And so because there was money flowing to benefit the agent may not have had the budget to come in with $5,000 a month to market, but somebody else was covering that for them. And so the broker would turn around and say, okay, we're going to do all this for you. Plus you have our image. And away you go. Second issue back then was the image was really important. That name brand was really important because that name brand could get, wait for it, the double page ad in the middle of the local newspaper on the weekend. And the agent couldn't afford that. So if you were on that double page ad in the weekend, you were visible, you were known. Now people will list their home with you. If you couldn't afford that double page ad, you had to sell just the personal relationship, right? So the personal relationship will always work in real estate, but the number of people who just based on personal relationship can sell 24 homes a year is that big. So the brokerages knew that. And so their structure was, let's just get a ton of agents, assemble them together, and whatever the split is, we'll do that split with them. And all of them will at some point have an uncle, aunt, niece who will sell a property and we get the split. And some of them will really become, a seasoned professional. So that model is how most of the companies today were built. There are still, and I shouldn't mention names, but there are still top companies, publicly traded companies that today say it is not our job to provide leads for our agents. Because they've got that 19th century mentality. The agents go out and they do the work. The agents go out and knock on the doors, join Bible studies, join churches, join bowling clubs, join shooting clubs, whatever, meet people, and eventually they'll get a deal and they'll bring it into our office. Along comes Zillow. Oh, and by the way, one last thing. What did all those brokerages control? The inventory.
Right.
So they were the Amazon. They had all the inventory, right? So we needed them. And at the beginning of my career, there were big debates in the local boards of realtors saying, hey, there's this company coming along called Realtor.com, and all the listings that you get, well, they want to post them on a website. And by the way, they're going to give you the leads back. A joke, right? And I remember debating it in North San Diego County in a big meeting in San Diego County. And I stood up in the room and I said, you do this, it's going to change our industry forever. Guess what? They all voted for it. Guess what? It changed our industry forever. Yep. So the most successful companies that have emerged in recent years are Zillow and Realtor.com. They're actually not real estate companies, they're tech companies. Yep. And now we pay them 38%, 35%, 40% sometimes for every lead because they got it. They now control what? The inventory. So the entire industry has changed from agent focus. Now it's consumer focus, not agent focus. It's consumer focus. Now let's talk about the consumer. What does the consumer want? The consumer wants to know everything now for free.
Yep.
We used to be able to take 30, 40, 50% from agents. Back then, you could take that money from them because we were presenting this professional who had a unique band of knowledge. Now, most consumers have more knowledge about the listing that we're selling, have more knowledge about the home that they're coming to us to view, to buy, than the agent does. 9 times out of 10. They'll know the taxes. They'll know the walk score. They'll know the schools. They'll know the proximity to schools, to shops, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So now the market has changed. The industry has changed. The focus is no longer control of inventory because we relinquished control of inventory. Now the focus is not the agent, it's the customer. Now, the companies that built themselves up, and I don't want to say their names because it sounds like I'm dissing companies. You can think of the names. They were all built around agents. Now they go, okay, if you just pay us $500 a month, just give us $500 a month. So they build a structure where if they can get $500 a month or 10 grand a year out of the agent, that's enough money to build it out so they can use their escrow companies and title companies. That's what's left. And they're trying to survive in that circle. They're not the cutting edge guys anymore. No. Even the guys that have these huge value, they're not cutting edge. The real estate companies aren't cutting edge. The cutting edge companies are the tech companies because they got it.
Yep.
Give the consumer what they want, when they want, 24 hours a day, round the clock. right? So it's those consumer companies those tech companies that really interest me. So we've got two companies we're building, remember. One is GoWP Now. That's our tech company. That's the intuitive technology that talks with the consumer when they want. We don't care if it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Let's provide that consumer what they want. Attached to that is Warburton Properties. And Warburton Properties' responsibility is that agents who care about the consumer more than the check, once the AI is done or the consumer is done talking with that AI, they will take over that conversation and they'll walk that family through, they'll walk that individual through to the finish line. And by the way, last piece is a platform there. The whole thing is out in the open and there's no shady business at all. There's no superiority. Here's another thing. The idea of the superiority of the real estate broker or agent has also gone away. By the way, this is also affecting the legal community. The idea that you have to go to this office, find this office, go up 16 floors, go through 10 secretaries. Of course, there's some very high-powered legal law firms that are still like that. But now attorneys are available online. You can go online, type in an issue, and you're going to have an incorporation back within 2 days, have an LLC back within 2 days. You can join a club where you can call an attorney up in LA and you pay a certain amount a month. Within 3 days, you got something in your email. It deals with 80% of legal transactions. Of course, if you're Johnny Depp, you need somebody who's going to come and sit with you in court. Most people aren't Johnny Depp, in case you hadn't noticed. So again, it's a shift in the industry from this superior individual sitting poised with a luxury car, and you're lucky they show up on time. Now the consumer is that person. The consumer has taken their rightful position. They're the ones spending the money. Yep. It's their future on the line. It's their kids in their schools. I know I'm going off on you a bit, but it's the whole issue that the industry has shifted from agent to consumer. This is my focus right over here. So when you talk about 1.6 million agents, I'm not interested there's 1.6 million agents. I'm interested there's enough people that we can train to be customer dedicated agents, responsive to their needs, and if they have to work shifts around the clock, fine. Because the consumer is the issue. I don't go to Amazon. Amazon says it's 5 o'clock. I'm a professional. My name's Bezos. Wait till tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm out immediately. If they don't reply to me in 16 seconds, I'm out. Then doesn't somebody spending $500,000 deserve that attention? Oh no, but I'm a professional. They shouldn't invade my private space. That era is over. Like dinosaurs didn't die overnight. It was a process. So this industry style is a dinosaur and it is dying. This industry style, Zillow, Realtor.com, that immediate access, that consumer orientation, that total support, that total visibility, that is the way of the future. That's where I want to play. That's the ballpark I want to play in.
That's beautiful. I agree that that's where it's going, and the consumer owns the power because they own the knowledge. They own the knowledge. You Google something right now, and they have more information than a ton of agents. They know more because they've spent the time to research, to get to know the product, to get to know their houses. They've interviewed a ton of agents already. By the time we get there and sign the contract, they already know what they're signing, and we're just there to look pretty.
Right. That's exactly right.
So we're in the service industry.
We are in the service industry,
right.
And I believe from the first day I got my real estate license, that was my job.
Yeah,
I wasn't taught that. You've got trainers, real estate trainers in this country who make a fortune teaching this old model. Now they'll bring some tech in. They got a new listing presentation, or they've got a new CRM, or they've got a new thing. But the idea is you are supreme. They're not. The agent is not supreme. The consumer is supreme.
Yeah, 100%. The consumer is the ultimate goal. This is all an even playing field, right? On the lending side, the way I saw it was everybody's going on our side. Everybody's going after the agent. The lenders are going after the agents, and we're just there to service the agents. I got personal friends that say, I'm not in the lending industry. I'm in the agent business. Right. And yes, for us on the lend side right now, we still need the agents to survive.
Fully understand.
But vice versa, the agents need the lenders to survive.
Yes.
But now we start to flip the roles because our job ain't that hard anymore. The lender isn't doing as much as, say, Tom was when he was lending 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, you show up to the person's house at 6 at night, walk around with it's 4 manila folders full of paperwork.
It's not that hard. I maybe touch the consumer on 4 or 5 different touch points.
Right.
The intro call. I finish the pre-approval. Hey, congratulations, you're in escrow. Here's your terms. Here's your rate lock. hey, your loan's clear to close. Hey, congratulations, you're a homeowner.
Yep.
That's probably my touch points. Otherwise, there's a whole system and team underneath me that I've built out so that I can have time to now focus on what is going after the consumer directly. Everybody has told me that I'm going to fail on the consumer direct platforms. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure out how and I'm young in this. I'm 6.5 years in, branch manager already.
Fantastic, yeah.
But I'm going to figure out how to go after the consumer directly so that I can control the transaction. I can control the top of the funnel and create the system so that it goes all the way through. So by the time it gets to the agent, the truth is I want to have the control in the relationship. I want to have control over the consumers. I want to have control over the funnel. And then really the agents are working for me rather than me working for them.
There is not an agent in this country, Tony, that if you turn around and go, hey guys, love your business. Let's see how our relationship develops, but I'm going to feed you just to start out with 10 buyers a week. Because agents don't know how to originate 10 buyers a week. Now you're in control. Instead of the agent now calling you and all the stuff that happens, where the agent demands of you. Now suddenly you're in a position, you said the driver's seat. Look, it's the water bottle in the Dodgers game. You can go outside the Dodgers game, you can buy a water bottle for 30 cents.
Yep.
You go in the Dodgers game, it's $6. And he who has the water bottles wins. So you go, well, I want to sell water in the Dodgers, because you see these seminars. I want to be super successful. Yeah, but you got to be smart enough to negotiate the contract with the Dodgers franchise. You can be the guy who sells those water bottles. So if you're the guy with the water bottles, you know what the water bottles is from a real estate broker's point of view? It's leads.
Yeah.
Because no offense, a lot of people can process loans, right? Some do it a lot better than others, obviously.
Processing products, it's all the same.
It's very similar. But you come in and say, here's 10 people who need my loans, but I can't show them real estate. Oh my gosh, the power in that's crazy. And that is exactly what Zillow has done.
Yep.
You just nailed it, brother. That is exactly what they've done. And now we turn around and write a check for $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, $40,000 a month to Zillow to get leads because they have the water bottles in the Dodgers game.
And we happily do it though. And then you go to Zillow, but Zillow has the prettier water bottles. They have the smart water.
Yeah, they do. That's right.
They don't have Arrowhead. They don't have Sparklets, right?
So there's a refining that's gone in there as well. That's the point you're making, right?
But it's just the long form. The systems are all the same.
Yes. It's
pay-per-click into a funnel, the funnel marketing, the drip campaign, the automation, the workflows. You call it a smart, what'd you call it?
Plan.
A smart plan. It's all the same thing. Everybody's the same.
Yep.
You click, you fill out a form, it goes into a funnel, automation kicks off. Eventually the agent gets tagged, hey, this is a live lead. It's all the same. They've just found a way to make the questions a little bit better. But what they've done is they've created trust. It's why Amazon went from selling books to selling everything.
That's right.
Because they are the de facto standard of real estate.
So it's just a really interesting point you make because there is a distinction. All the funnels basically are the same. You're 100%, I agree with you. There is another source of these leads that we pay for, and that's the organic relationship. Because that name Zillow, people will go to Google and type in Zillow, right? They won't type in GoWP now yet, right? But they'll type in Zillow. They'll type in Realtor.com. They won't type in GoWP now. There's another plug for GoWP now, right? Here's the point. That organic traffic tends to generate a higher quality of lead than a funnel capture. It doesn't mean that funnel captures aren't valuable. We sell properties all the time. We help people all the time with loans who came in through a funnel capture, right? But that organic, hey, when we bought a home, we used GoWP Now, and the site was like really easy to use. And we spoke to their customer service, and they transferred us to somebody, and they were really friendly. And it seemed like the agent they sent to us was accountable. And I liked that, because our last person sold our house. We never really saw them. They were kind of arrogant. So now people are going to the website for a reason. And that is that they believe there's organic character attached to the people with that website. You're going to get a better type of lead. Funnels are the same. Websites aren't. No. Because you know as well as I do, it's not the website itself. No. It's the philosophy behind that website. There is a philosophy within Zillow and Realtor.com that is very different to the philosophy that I've seen in the real estate industry for over 3 decades. When we talk with our managers in Zillow, we're a Zillow Flex team, which is, it's a privileged position. I don't want to be arrogant, but it's a privileged position.
100%.
When we talk to our managers, they just display metrics charts. They know every zip code in the country, what the percentage to 100th of a decimal point is of conversion of traffic to sale in every zip code in the United States of America. They know every agent within 100th of a second what time of day their phone rang and how many hundredths of a second it took for that agent to respond to that call. They know what percentage of the leads convert to appointment, what percentage convert to showing, what percentage convert to offers, and what percentage convert to closings. They know the profitability of every agent better than the agent themselves know. Every week we have a management meeting with them. They look at the matrix definition for each column on the spreadsheet, and we're responsible to manage our agent to match that metric. So immediately you identify that agent's business. This one shows more, can't close. This one writes offers, can't get across the finish line. This one shows, never writes off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In addition, I personally still, to remain in touch, listen to the recorded calls of the agents in our organization, as does Zillow, and score them out of 100 on every call they make. And there are 5 criteria in there. I won't go into them now. 5 criteria in there that agent has to ask every single time to respect the consumer, respect the wishes of the consumer, put the consumer first rather than themselves, show them the property they want, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the bottom line is this. These websites, as we call them, Zillow and Realtor.com, have introduced this metric analysis of the behavior of agents at the first time in the history of the real estate industry. Agent ego no longer supersedes agent accountability. And that accountability is what makes human beings grow.
Yes.
You could not possibly go to Amazon Corporation or a tech corporation and say, you know what, I'm really good scientist today. I'll show up when I want. I'll go home when I want. And my personal life is important. And hey, call and here's my voicemail. And I'll get back to you. You can't do that with one industry in the world except real estate. So when you go to Zillow, you know that, or Realtor.com, and there's a couple of others, you know that there is an accountability factor within that corporation. That those realtors who are going to reach out to you are held accountable. And if they mess up, they'll never get a lead from Zillow again. The power of that to the consumer is immeasurable.
That's insanity. It's all data analytics. You use the analytics and the data to hold them accountable.
Exactly.
That's
right.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. That takes the human aspect out of it.
Yep.
Mr. Andrew, this was incredible.
Enjoyed it?
Yeah, I loved it. Mr. Andrew, pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Where can people find you? How can they contact you? And why should they contact you?
The most important thing is their needs are taken care of. So step number 1 is go to GoWP Now. So our real estate company is Warburton Properties, GoWPNow.com. And we have state-of-the-art technology there. All the intuitive technology that you need to help you find the right home. We by the way, pre-sort through algorithms, all the foreclosures, all the new listings, all the new discounts. We pre-sort for flippers. So there's a lot of work we've done in advance that we present on the website, that it's not a conventional property search website. You're going to go in there and you're going to find what you need. You're going to find stuff that's very difficult to find in other websites. So I would say first point of contact is go to GoWP Now and start searching. When you're in there and you need somebody to give you more knowledge, there are 3 ways that you can contact us, and you'll see 3 calls to action that you can respond to on the website. And one of our assistants will reach out to you immediately. And if you request it and you're ready to really have somebody help you make that deal, we have trained, and here comes the big word, accountable professionals who will walk you through every step of that process. And I'll tell you something right now. If they mess up, you call me. You want my cell phone number? 310-270-1689. They mess up, you call me. If they haven't messed up, I prefer you call another number, which is 888-336-9631. That's 888-336-9631. But you can get everything you need by going to gowpnow.com. And if you request it, one of our Warburton Properties accountable agents, trained agents, will reach out to you, take you over the finish line.
Let's go. Thank you.